From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
Good evening and thanks for starting your week with us. I'm Russ Riesinger. Several developments today regarding the U.S. Postal Service. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy will visit Capitol Hill 1 week from today to testify before the House Oversight Committee. DeJoy will be questioned about new controversial cost-cutting measures at the post office and the impact on mail service across the nation. In Montana, the issue came to the forefront last week when dozens of drop-off mailboxes were removed in a number of cities, including Billings, Bozeman, Livingston, and Missoula. After a public outcry, postal officials put the removals on hold. In Washington, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is scheduled to vote for this Saturday on a bill that would stop the cutbacks and provide $25 billion in funding for the Postal Service. The rare Saturday vote will force House members to return to Washington early from their current recess. Congressman Greg Gianforte's office tells MTN he will return when the House reconvenes. Gianforte said he hopes Speaker Pelosi will work with Republicans on a bipartisan solution to avoid delays in mail service. Senator John Tester said for him the big disappointment is that the Senate has been sent home on recess by Majority Leader Mitch McConnell when it should be trying to hammer out a new COVID relief package for the country. Riverstone Health is following up on a complaint made against a Billings restaurant after video surfaced on social media showing insects on various plates of food. But as MTN's Andrea Lutz reports, the restaurant, the Outback Steakhouse in Billings, says the incident was isolated.
What was supposed to be a special Sunday birthday dinner turned into a food nightmare for one Billings family. This video posted by Rhonda Smith has now been shared hundreds of times on social media, showing what looks like tiny worms on their dinner plates at the Outback Steakhouse in Billings. Smith says when the food came out, they quickly noticed the bugs found on 5 of their 9 plates. She also says another table nearby in the restaurant had the same issue. Those with Riverstone Health say they did get a complaint about the insects and were following up Monday, and that the restaurant itself did make a call to the health department about the situation. After making a call ourselves to the restaurant Monday afternoon, we were told by someone on the phone the incident was isolated. And the health inspector says everything is fine. Still, Smith said the whole ordeal ruined her kid's birthday dinner, even though the restaurant took care of the bill. In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
Now, Andrea did leave a message for the owner of the Outback Steakhouse and is awaiting a call back for comment. She also looked at the most recent health inspection reports for the restaurant, showing a total of 8 food safety violations since 2017. And for more on this story, you can look online on ktvq.com. Some improvements in today's COVID-19 numbers compared at least to recent weeks. The state reported 43 new cases today, with Bighorn County adding another 14 new cases on top of that tonight. Yellowstone County reported 11 new cases today. The total number of COVID cases stands at just over 5,800 in Montana, with nearly 1,600 of those still active. The family of a Great Falls resident who passed away from COVID-19 complications says that they're left without answers as they grieve the loss of their beloved brother. MTN's Keely Van Middendorp sat down with siblings of Carl Stuckey Jr., who shared more about his life and death.
2020 just sounded like one of those good luck years. As it turned out, it hasn't been good luck for anybody.
Stuckey siblings say their brother was the 4th person in Cascade County to pass from COVID-19.
This is Carl. He was a mountain of a man, not in stature, but in every other way possible. And we miss him.
The oldest sibling of 8 had been living with COPD for years and passed away unexpectedly August 6 after a 2-week stay in the hospital and eventually hospice.
We're not in denial of the fact that we would probably ultimately have lost him to COPD, but it was not his time.
The family says a big breakdown in their grieving process became taking care of Carl's last wish. He and his wife, who had also tested positive for COVID-19, had arranged for his body to be sent to the Montana Body Donation Program in Bozeman. But a lack of communication left the family frustrated.
We never did really get a good answer.
And unable to fulfill Carl's final act of generosity.
Countless phone calls that we made to see if there was any way to have his body donated for COVID research. And the answer with every phone call was, oh, we really don't know anything about that.
MTN reached out to the Montana Body Donation Program several times over the last week. We have not heard back. We checked to see what other programs around the country might be available to families in the same situation and found no major medical universities accepting COVID body donations. We did talk with LSU Health in New Orleans, who said their teaching hospital is one of the only locations in the country equipped to handle COVID-19 autopsies. But they only perform the post-mortem procedure on those who die under their care.
There needs to be something in place.
Family members are left to grieve without the closure Carl had intended, but say they will fulfill his final wish to help others by keeping his kindness alive and spreading awareness about their struggles.
Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always. And
Well,
that was
Robin
Carl. But that was Carl.
In Great Falls, Keely Van Mittendorp, MTN News.
Well, in other news, the heat we've been dealing with has not done any favors for the personnel battling the Bear Creek fire. The flames began just under a week ago, and fighting that fire has required some adjustments due to COVID-19. MTN's John Amy got as close as he could to that fire today and has the latest.
I'm at the helibase of the Bear Creek wildfire, burning about an hour southwest of Dillon, where crews are relying on air support to battle this large wildfire. Several helicopters collected water in buckets that hold up to 400 gallons and have been dumping it on the fire burning in a remote and rugged part of the Beaverhead Deer Lodge National Forest. The fire, which started on August 11th, has grown to just over 6,300 acres.
These guys are probably averaging, maybe 17, 18 buckets in a fuel cycle, which is typically about 2 hours.
The air support includes 2 airplanes scooping water from the Clark Canyon Reservoir about 30 miles away and dumping it on the fire.
One of the bigger challenges for aircraft is winds. Being this close to the Continental Divide, the winds can be kind of out of all directions at all times.
Along with the fire, firefighters have to stay safe from the coronavirus. This includes maintaining more distance between crews.
We're having people kind of spike out on the line and stay out so they're not interacting with as many people. Everyone's wearing masks when they're, around groups of people, and so we're just trying to take a lot of different mitigations to keep the community safe, keep our firefighters safe.
Another way the coronavirus has changed their strategy in dealing with this wildfire is relying more on air support to take on a more primary role in fighting the fire.
Just to minimize, as much as we can, some of that intermixing of crews. At the agency as a whole, the firefighting world as a whole, we onboarded more aircraft this year.
And with more weather coming into the area causing unpredictable conditions, crews are expected to be very busy this week. Near Dillon, John Amy, MTN News.
And Governor Steve Bullock announced today that the Montana Fire Fund has been completely filled for the first time in that fund's existence. Due to an excess of funds in the budget, the state of Montana was able to transfer about $46 million to the Fire Fund, reaching its statutory cap of $101.5 million. The state recently finished its fiscal year under budget thanks to belt-tightening efforts by state agencies during the pandemic. The state will begin its next fiscal year with $620 million in the general fund, the fire fund, and the budget stabilization reserve. Bullock says fire fund achievement allows for resilience should we experience another record-setting wildfire season like we did in 2017.
But we're also making sure that Montana's prepared for the wildfire seasons that come our way, not just this year, but for several years to come. The Fire Fund now contains enough money to cover nearly 5 average years of state fire suppression cost.
Bullock is urging Montanans to redouble their efforts in using caution with fire this year, ensuring their campfire doesn't end up costing taxpayers millions of dollars. The inaugural night of the Democratic National Convention is underway, with the Democrats making their case for presumptive nominee, former Vice President Joe Biden. The four-day event features a combination of live and pre-taped speeches and performances from all over the nation in what some are calling an unconventional convention. Natalie Brand has more.
We the people. We the people of the United States. We the people call the 48th Quadrennial Democratic National Convention to order.
With that, the Democratic National Convention kicked off with headliners including Senator Bernie Sanders and former First Lady Michelle Obama, who talked about watching the former Vice President Joe Biden up close.
He will tell the truth and trust science. He will make smart plans and manage a good team.
The night featured musical performances, starting with a stirring rendition of the national anthem.
Night one was also designed to showcase support across the political spectrum for Republicans, including former Ohio governor and 2016 presidential candidate John Kasich are lending their support to Biden.
Former Trump administration official Miles Taylor endorsed Biden and bashed the president in a new campaign ad released by the group Republican Voters Against Trump.
The president was ill-equipped and wouldn't become equipped to do his job effectively.
The White House called Taylor a creature of the D.C. swamp. Earlier, President Trump took a swipe at Democrats during a trip to Wisconsin, where the Democratic National Convention was supposed to be held in person.
They talk about a convention. How do you watch a taped speech?
The president plans to visit more swing states this week. His Democratic challenger will formally accept the nomination from Delaware on Thursday.
And Tuesday, expected convention speakers include former President Bill Clinton, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Joe Biden's wife, Jill Biden. Meanwhile, President Trump confirmed he will deliver his acceptance speech next week from the White House. Still ahead on the MTN 9 o'clock news, finding those back-to-school supplies may be more difficult for some. Coming up, some advice for navigating the online shopping world. But first, hot, and more hot. Bob McGuire's in next with your full 7-day forecast.